The air was crisp as Charles stepped out of the carriage, his eyes taking in the grandeur of the manor before him. The estate, once a symbol of wealth and prestige, now stood weathered by time, its stone facade veiled in ivy. The heavy oak doors, slightly ajar, creaked as if groaning under the weight of untold stories. Charles felt a shiver run down his spine, but he dismissed it as the chill of the autumn air. Charles was an art restorer, known for his meticulous attention to detail and a keen eye for authenticity. His latest commission had brought him to this remote corner of Bath, where he was tasked with restoring a portrait that had been hidden away for decades. The manor's current owner, Lord William, had reached out, promising a generous fee for the restoration of a piece that was rumored to be cursed. Charles, skeptical of such tales, was intrigued by the challenge and the potential to uncover a masterpiece lost to time. As he approached the entrance, the door swung open, revealing a tall, stern-looking man with a lined face and sharp eyes. Lord William greeted him with a curt nod. "Mr. Charles, welcome. I trust your journey was uneventful?" "Quite so," Charles replied, his gaze drifting past Lord William into the dimly lit hallway beyond. The air inside was stale, carrying the faint scent of aged wood and dust. "I'm eager to see the portrait." Lord William led him through the grand foyer, where the remnants of past opulence were evident in the faded tapestries and tarnished chandeliers. They passed several closed doors before stopping at one slightly ajar. Inside, the room was cold, its only light coming from a tall window obscured by heavy drapes. In the center stood an easel, draped in a cloth. With a theatrical flourish, Lord William pulled back the covering, revealing the portrait. Charles stepped closer, his breath catching at the sight. The painting depicted a woman of striking beauty, her eyes piercing and lifelike, as if she were gazing directly at him. Her expression was a mix of sorrow and defiance, her hands delicately clasping a single rose. "This is Lady Helena," Lord William explained, his voice tinged with a mix of reverence and disdain. "She was accused of witchcraft centuries ago, a stain on our family's history." Charles examined the portrait closely, noting the signs of age and neglect. The canvas was worn, and the colors had faded, yet the woman's eyes seemed untouched by time, as vivid as the day they were painted. "It's remarkable," he murmured. "I can see why you'd want it restored." Lord William's expression darkened. "There are those who believe the painting is cursed, that misfortune follows those who possess it. Superstitions, of course, but they have kept the portrait hidden away for generations." Charles nodded, more intrigued than alarmed. He had encountered such stories before, but they had always proved to be mere fabrications, tales spun by fearful minds. Yet, something about Lady Helena's gaze unsettled him, a silent plea for recognition, for justice. As they spoke, a sudden gust of wind rattled the window, causing the drapes to flutter. Charles glanced around, feeling a prickling sensation at the back of his neck. He dismissed it, focusing instead on the task at hand. "I'll need to examine the painting in detail," he said, "to determine the extent of the restoration required." "Of course," Lord William replied, his tone clipped. "You'll have all the time you need. I only ask that you exercise discretion. The portrait's history is sensitive." Charles nodded again, understanding the implication. The restoration of such a piece could bring unwanted scrutiny, especially if the rumors of a curse stirred public interest. He reassured Lord William of his professionalism, then set about preparing his tools, eager to begin his work. As he started his preliminary examination, the manor seemed to settle into a watchful silence, the air thick with anticipation. Charles couldn't shake the feeling that he was being observed, not just by the portrait, but by something unseen, lingering in the shadows. The days that followed were a blur of meticulous work. Charles spent hours in the dimly lit room, carefully cleaning the layers of grime that had accumulated on the portrait over the years. As he worked, he couldn't help but feel a growing connection to the woman in the painting. Lady Helena's eyes seemed to follow him around the room, her gaze both piercing and sorrowful. One afternoon, as Charles was delicately applying a restorative varnish, he heard a soft knock at the door. He looked up to see a young woman standing in the doorway. She had a warm smile and an air of quiet curiosity. "Good afternoon," she said, stepping into the room. "I'm Anna, the local historian. Lord William mentioned you might be interested in learning more about Lady Helena's history." Charles smiled back, grateful for the interruption. "Yes, I've been trying to piece together her story. There's something compelling about her." Anna nodded, her expression thoughtful. Lady Helena was a fascinating figure. She was accused of witchcraft, but the evidence was dubious at best. Many believe she was targeted because of her progressive ideas and her influence over the local community. As Anna spoke, Charles felt a chill in the air, the temperature in the room dropping noticeably. He glanced at the portrait, noting the almost imperceptible shift in Lady Helena's expression. It was as if she were listening, reacting to the discussion of her past. Anna continued, unaware of the change. "There are many rumors and legends surrounding her. Some say her spirit never left this manor, seeking justice for the wrongs done to her." Charles, though skeptical, couldn't deny the strange occurrences he had experienced since starting his work. Objects would occasionally move on their own, and there were unexplained cold drafts that seemed to emanate from the portrait itself. He mentioned these incidents to Anna, who listened with a mixture of fascination and concern. "These kinds of stories aren't uncommon in places with such a rich and turbulent history," Anna remarked, "but they often have a kernel of truth. Perhaps Lady Helena's story is more than just a tragic tale." Charles pondered this as he continued his work, Anna's words echoing in his mind. The idea of a spirit bound to the portrait, seeking recognition and justice, seemed far-fetched. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that Lady Helena was more than just a figure in a painting. There was a presence in the room, a sense of anticipation, as if something significant was about to happen. As the afternoon wore on, Charles and Anna talked at length about the history of the manor and the local legends. Anna promised to bring some old documents and records that might shed more light on Lady Helena's life and the accusations against her. They agreed to meet again the following day to continue their discussion. After Anna left, Charles sat alone in the room, the weight of the portrait's gaze heavy upon him. He felt a mix of excitement and trepidation, drawn deeper into the mystery of Lady Helena's life and the curse that supposedly surrounded her. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the room, Charles packed up his tools and prepared to leave. The room felt colder, and the silence was thick, almost oppressive. He glanced back at the portrait one last time, the feeling of being watched intensifying. He closed the door behind him, the sound echoing through the empty halls. As he walked away, he couldn't help but feel that Lady Helena's story was far from over, and that he had only just begun to uncover the secrets buried within the manor's walls. The next day, Anna returned to the manor, her arms laden with a stack of old books and documents. Charles had been waiting for her, eager to delve deeper into the history of Lady Helena. The two set up a makeshift research station in the room adjacent to the one housing the portrait, the air thick with the scent of aged paper and dust. As they sifted through the documents, Anna shared anecdotes and local legends about Lady Helena. It became clear that she was a woman ahead of her time, known for her knowledge of herbal remedies and her defiance of social norms. Such attributes had made her both respected and feared, leading to her being accused of witchcraft during a period of superstition and fear. While examining a particularly old ledger, Charles noticed a faint impression on one of the pages. He gently lifted the fragile paper to reveal a hidden pocket within the book's binding. Inside was a small, leather-bound journal, its cover worn and brittle. Charles and Anna exchanged a look of astonishment, sensing they had stumbled upon something significant. They opened the journal with care, revealing pages filled with neat, flowing handwriting. It was Lady Helena's own words, detailing her life, her fears, and the injustices she had faced. The journal painted a picture of a compassionate woman, wrongfully accused and ostracized by those she had once helped. It also mentioned a curse she had placed upon her accusers, a final act of defiance against those who had condemned her. As they read, the atmosphere in the room seemed to change, becoming heavier, as if the air itself was thick with the weight of the past. The journal provided insight into the events leading to Lady Helena's accusation and subsequent death, revealing a conspiracy among the local gentry who feared her influence and progressive ideas. One entry caught their attention. Lady Helena wrote of a vision she had, in which her spirit would remain bound to the manor, seeking justice and redemption. She described a painting, a portrait that would serve as a vessel for her soul, holding her presence until her name was cleared. Anna looked up from the journal, her eyes wide with realization. "The portrait," she whispered. "It's not just a painting. It's a vessel, a conduit for her spirit." Charles felt a chill run down his spine, the pieces of the puzzle beginning to fit together. The supernatural occurrences, the cold drafts, the unsettling gaze of the portrait. It all pointed to Lady Helena's presence lingering in the manor, bound by the injustice of her untimely death. As they continued reading, they found references to Lord William's ancestors, who had played a key role in the accusations against Lady Helena. The journal hinted at hidden documents and letters that could provide further evidence of her innocence and the wrongful deeds of those who condemned her. The discovery of the journal brought a sense of urgency. Charles and Anna realized that revealing this truth could exonerate Lady Helena, breaking the curse and finally allowing her spirit to rest. However, they also knew that Lord William would not be pleased with the potential scandal and the damage it could do to his family's reputation. Determined to see justice done, Charles and Anna decided to continue their investigation, hoping to find the hidden documents that would corroborate Lady Helena's story. The weight of responsibility felt heavy, but they were resolved to uncover the truth, no matter the consequences. As they packed up the documents, Charles glanced back at the portrait, now more enigmatic than ever. He felt a strange connection to Lady Helena, a pull that went beyond professional interest. The manor's silent walls seemed to hum with anticipation, as if the very house itself was waiting for the truth to be revealed. The discovery of Lady Helena's journal had a profound effect on both Charles and Anna. They felt an increasing sense of responsibility to bring her story to light. However, as they delved deeper into their research, the atmosphere in the manor grew more oppressive. The cold drafts became more frequent, and Charles often felt as though unseen eyes were watching his every move. As word of their investigation spread, Lord William's demeanor became noticeably colder. One evening, as Charles was carefully restoring a delicate section of the portrait, Lord William barged into the room, his face flushed with anger. "I hear you've been poking around where you shouldn't," Lord William snapped, glaring at Charles. "I hired you to restore a painting, not to dig up dirt on my family." Charles remained calm, meeting Lord William's gaze steadily. "The portrait is connected to Lady Helena's story. Her journal suggests there was a miscarriage of justice, and I believe it's important to set the record straight." Lord William scoffed, waving his hand dismissively. "Old stories and superstition. None of it matters now. My family has moved on from those dark days, and I'd advise you to do the same." Undeterred, Charles continued, "But the curse, if it's true, hasn't been lifted. Lady Helena's spirit may still be tied to this place, seeking justice." Lord William's expression darkened further. "There is no curse, only foolish rumors. I won't have my family's reputation tarnished by your wild theories." He stepped closer, lowering his voice to a menacing whisper. "If you value your career, you'll finish the restoration and leave. Forget about the journal and the past." Charles felt a surge of defiance. He had grown attached to the portrait and the woman it depicted, feeling a moral obligation to see her name cleared. However, he knew that challenging Lord William openly could have severe consequences, not just for himself but for Anna and the work they were doing. After Lord William left, Charles and Anna met in private to discuss their next steps. Anna was visibly shaken, her usual confidence replaced by a worried frown. "We have to be careful," she said. "Lord William won't hesitate to use his influence to discredit us if we push too hard." Charles nodded, understanding the risks but feeling a stronger resolve to continue. "We need more evidence," he said. "Something irrefutable that ties the curse and the injustices together." They decided to focus their efforts on finding the hidden documents mentioned in Lady Helena's journal. These papers, if they existed, could provide the proof needed to vindicate her and expose the wrongdoings of the past. However, their search was not without challenges. The manor was vast, and many rooms had been sealed or used for storage, cluttered with decades of accumulated items. As they explored the manor, the supernatural occurrences grew more intense. Objects would fall or shift when they entered a room, and they often heard faint whispers or soft footsteps when no one else was around. The staff became increasingly uneasy, some even refusing to enter certain areas of the house. Despite these obstacles, Charles and Anna pressed on, driven by a sense of duty and the desire to see justice done. Their late-night research sessions often ended in whispered discussions about the implications of their findings and the potential fallout from revealing the truth. The tension in the manor was palpable, with an undercurrent of fear and anticipation. Charles felt as though they were racing against time, not just to uncover the truth, but to resolve the lingering unrest within the manor's walls. The air seemed charged with an unseen energy, as if the very house was alive with expectation, waiting for the final piece of the puzzle to fall into place. As the days passed, Charles and Anna intensified their efforts to uncover the hidden documents. Their persistence paid off when they found an old, locked chest in one of the manor's attics. After some effort, they managed to open it, revealing a trove of letters, diaries, and legal documents. Among these papers, they discovered crucial evidence: correspondence between Lady Helena and several local figures, proving that the accusations against her were baseless and driven by jealousy and fear. The evidence was damning, not only exonerating Lady Helena, but also implicating the ancestors of Lord William in orchestrating her downfall. The implications of these documents were far-reaching, threatening to tarnish the family's reputation irreparably. Despite the risks, Charles and Anna knew they had to share their findings with the world. They decided to hold a public exhibition at the manor, unveiling the restored portrait and the newly discovered documents. The announcement of the exhibition drew significant attention. Local historians, journalists, and curious townspeople expressed interest, intrigued by the promise of revealing a dark chapter in the manor's history. Charles felt a mix of excitement and anxiety, knowing that the event could either vindicate Lady Helena and resolve the curse or provoke backlash from Lord William and his allies. On the day of the exhibition, the manor was abuzz with activity. Charles and Anna had meticulously prepared the room where the portrait and documents would be displayed, ensuring that every detail was perfect. The restored portrait of Lady Helena was the centerpiece, her eyes now more lifelike than ever, as if watching over the proceedings with a knowing gaze. As guests began to arrive, Charles noticed Lord William at the edge of the crowd, his face set in a scowl. Despite the obvious tension, Charles felt a sense of determination. He knew that revealing the truth was the right thing to do, regardless of the consequences. The exhibition began with a brief introduction from Charles, who explained the significance of the portrait and the journey that had led to this moment. He spoke of Lady Helena's tragic story and the injustice she had suffered, setting the stage for the revelation of the documents. As Anna began to present the evidence, reading aloud from the letters and diaries, the room fell silent. The guests listened intently, absorbing the details of the conspiracy against Lady Helena. The atmosphere grew tense, with whispers spreading through the crowd as the implications became clear. Lord William, standing at the back of the room, looked increasingly agitated. He interrupted Anna's presentation, accusing her and Charles of fabricating the documents and slandering his family. However, his protests were drowned out by murmurs of disbelief and shock from the audience. The weight of the evidence was undeniable, and many were convinced of its authenticity. Despite Lord William's attempts to discredit them, Charles and Anna continued with the exhibition. They revealed the journal's passages describing Lady Helena's vision of her spirit remaining tied to the manor until justice was served. As they spoke, a sudden chill swept through the room, causing several guests to shiver and glance around nervously. The air seemed to thicken, and the lights flickered briefly, casting eerie shadows across the walls. Charles felt a cold draft pass by him, and for a moment, he thought he saw a faint, ethereal figure standing beside the portrait. The apparition was gone in an instant, but the room was left in stunned silence. Anna concluded the presentation with a call for Lady Helena's exoneration and the lifting of the curse. She urged the community to acknowledge the wrongs of the past and ensure that such injustices were never repeated. The guests left the manor deep in thought, the revelations weighing heavily on their minds. As the last of the attendees departed, Charles felt a sense of relief mixed with anticipation. The truth was now out in the open, and while the repercussions were yet to be seen, he believed they had done the right thing. The house seemed to exhale, the oppressive atmosphere lifting slightly, as if acknowledging the progress toward justice and resolution. In the days following the exhibition, the revelations about Lady Helena's wrongful accusation and the curse spread throughout the town. The local newspaper ran a front-page story detailing the events, sparking intense public interest and debate. Some praised Charles and Anna for their bravery in uncovering the truth, while others, loyal to the manor's lineage, expressed skepticism and defended Lord William's position. Lord William, now facing widespread scrutiny and potential scandal, retreated from public view. His absence only fueled the rumors and speculation, with many questioning the integrity of the manor's current ownership. Despite the growing tension, Charles and Anna continued their work, determined to see the truth fully recognized. One evening, as they were reviewing their notes in the manor's library, a sudden commotion outside caught their attention. They hurried to the front hall to find a small group of townspeople gathered, demanding to speak with Lord William. The atmosphere was charged, a mix of curiosity, anger, and fear palpable in the air. Charles stepped forward, attempting to calm the crowd. "Lord William is not available at the moment," he announced, trying to maintain a composed demeanor. "But we can address your concerns." A man from the crowd stepped forward, holding a newspaper. "Is it true?" he asked, his voice filled with emotion. "Is Lady Helena's curse real? Are we all in danger?" Before Charles could respond, Anna interjected, her tone calm but firm. "There is no danger to the public. The curse, as described in the journal, was directed at those who wronged Lady Helena. Our goal is to set the record straight and lift this burden from her spirit." The crowd murmured among themselves, some nodding in understanding while others looked unconvinced. Just as Charles was about to speak again, the manor's heavy front doors creaked open and Lord William appeared, his face pale and drawn. "Enough of this nonsense," he declared, his voice trembling with barely suppressed anger. "There is no curse, and I will not have my family's name dragged through the mud any further." Charles felt a surge of frustration but maintained his composure. "Lord William, the documents speak for themselves. The evidence is irrefutable. It's time to acknowledge the truth and allow Lady Helena's spirit to rest." Lord William's eyes flashed with fury. "This is an affront to my family's honor. You are all being deceived by these charlatans," he spat, gesturing towards Charles and Anna. As tensions rose, a sudden, eerie calm fell over the manor. The air grew cold, and a faint whispering seemed to emanate from the very walls. The crowd fell silent, their eyes wide with fear and anticipation. Then, in the dim light of the hall, a ghostly figure began to materialize near the portrait of Lady Helena. The apparition was unmistakable. It was Lady Helena herself, her form ethereal yet clear, her expression one of sadness and resolve. The crowd gasped, some backing away in terror, while others stood rooted in place, transfixed by the sight. Lady Helena's voice, soft yet commanding, echoed through the hall. "I seek not vengeance but justice," she intoned, her gaze fixed on Lord William. "My story must be told, my name cleared, so that I may find peace." Lord William staggered back, his face ashen. "No, this cannot be," he stammered, his bravado crumbling in the face of the spectral figure. The crowd watched in stunned silence, the reality of the supernatural encounter undeniable. Charles stepped forward, his voice steady. "Lady Helena, we have revealed your story to the world. The truth is known. What more must we do to lift the curse and allow you peace?" The apparition turned to Charles, her expression softening. "Continue to tell my tale, to ensure that justice is done not just for me, but for all who have suffered unjustly. Only then can the past be laid to rest." With those words, the ghostly figure began to fade, leaving behind a profound silence. The crowd, still reeling from the encounter, slowly dispersed, murmuring among themselves. The event had left an indelible mark on all present, a stark reminder of the power of truth and the consequences of injustice. As the manor fell quiet, Charles and Anna felt a deep sense of accomplishment mixed with sadness. They had brought Lady Helena's story to light and helped her spirit find some measure of peace. Yet, they knew their work was not over. The legacy of the manor and its history would continue to shape the lives of those connected to it, and the full impact of their revelations was yet to be seen. The day after the public encounter with Lady Helena's apparition, the manor became a focal point of attention. The local community was abuzz with stories of the ghostly sighting, and the news quickly spread beyond the town, attracting interest from historians, paranormal enthusiasts, and the media. The once quiet and secluded estate now found itself at the center of a storm of curiosity and speculation. Charles and Anna, while relieved that the truth was finally out, faced a barrage of inquiries and requests for interviews. They handled these with care, focusing on the importance of Lady Helena's story and the need for historical justice, while avoiding sensationalism. The evidence they had uncovered, combined with the supernatural encounter, had created a powerful narrative that resonated with many. Lord William, on the other hand, was conspicuously absent from public view. Reports suggested he had retreated to a family estate in another part of the country, leaving the manor's affairs in the hands of legal and public relations advisors. The scandal had dealt a significant blow to his reputation, and there were rumors of potential legal actions regarding the historical injustices uncovered. Amidst the chaos, Charles and Anna worked to ensure that Lady Helena's legacy would be preserved and respected. They organized the documents and findings into a comprehensive report, which they submitted to local historical societies and archives. The goal was not just to clear Lady Helena's name, but to use her story as a catalyst for a broader examination of historical wrongs. The manor itself underwent a transformation. The new public interest led to discussions about turning it into a museum or educational center dedicated to exploring local history, justice, and the supernatural. The idea garnered support from various quarters, including cultural and academic institutions, who saw the potential for educational programs and exhibitions. As the situation stabilized, Charles and Anna took a moment to reflect on the journey they had been through. The bond they had formed during the investigation grew stronger, shaped by the shared experience of uncovering a historical truth and confronting the unknown. They both felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that their work had made a difference. However, the question of the curse's resolution lingered. While Lady Helena's spirit had communicated a desire for continued storytelling and justice, it was unclear if the curse was truly lifted or if its effects would persist in some form. The supernatural encounter had left many questions unanswered, and Charles couldn't shake the feeling that the manor still held secrets waiting to be discovered. Despite these uncertainties, the atmosphere in the manor felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. The oppressive cold that had once pervaded the halls was gone, replaced by a sense of calm. Charles and Anna interpreted this change as a sign that Lady Helena had found some measure of peace, though they remained vigilant for any signs of lingering unrest. As the manor prepared to open its doors to the public, Charles and Anna focused on creating a narrative that honored Lady Helena's legacy while educating visitors about the broader historical context. They hoped that by sharing her story, they could inspire others to seek justice and understanding in their own lives and communities. The story of Lady Helena and the manor was not just a tale of ghosts and curses, but a reminder of the enduring impact of history and the importance of truth. As the new chapter for the manor began, Charles and Anna looked forward to what the future held, knowing that their work had set a foundation for continued exploration and discovery. As the months passed, the manor transitioned into its new role as a historical site and museum, dedicated to preserving and sharing the story of Lady Helena and the injustices of the past. The main hall, once silent and foreboding, now buzzed with the chatter of visitors, historians, and students eager to learn about the rich history of the estate. Charles and Anna oversaw the transformation, curating exhibits that included the restored portrait, Lady Helena's journal, and other artifacts uncovered during their investigation. They ensured that the narrative was respectful and informative, focusing on the broader implications of the events rather than sensationalizing the supernatural aspects. The response from the public was overwhelmingly positive. The museum attracted visitors from across the country, drawn by the unique blend of history, mystery, and the promise of a first-hand encounter with the past. Educational programs were established, including lectures and workshops on historical research, ethics, and the role of justice in society. The manor's transformation also brought renewed interest in the local community, with businesses and cultural institutions collaborating on events and activities. The estate became a hub for cultural exchange, offering a space for dialogue and reflection on the complexities of history and heritage. Charles and Anna's work earned them recognition and accolades from academic and historical societies. They were invited to speak at conferences and seminars, sharing their experiences and the lessons learned from their journey. Their collaboration strengthened, leading to a deep and enduring friendship built on mutual respect and a shared passion for truth and justice. However, the question of the curse's resolution remained a topic of discussion. While the atmosphere in the manor had become more welcoming, some visitors and staff reported feeling a lingering presence, a subtle reminder of the past's unresolved tensions. Charles and Anna acknowledged these reports but emphasized the importance of focusing on the historical and educational mission of the museum. One evening, as Charles walked through the now familiar halls of the manor, he paused before Lady Helena's portrait. The painting, beautifully restored, had become the centerpiece of the museum, a symbol of resilience and the quest for justice. Charles felt a sense of closure, yet also a recognition that their work was part of a larger, ongoing process. Anna joined him, and they stood in quiet reflection, contemplating the journey they had undertaken. "Do you think she's at peace now?" Anna asked softly, her gaze fixed on the portrait. Charles considered the question, the weight of their shared experiences lending gravity to his response. "I believe we've given her story a voice," he said. "We've done our part to honor her memory and seek justice. Whether the curse is truly lifted, I can't say. But I do know that we've made a difference." As they left the room, the soft glow of the evening light filtered through the windows, casting a warm, golden hue across the halls. The manor, once a place of shadows and secrets, had become a beacon of knowledge and understanding, a testament to the power of truth. The final chapter of their journey in the manor had closed, but Charles and Anna knew that the story of justice and historical inquiry would continue. The museum stood as a reminder of the importance of facing the past, learning from it, and striving for a future where the mistakes of history are not repeated. As they walked out into the cool evening air, they looked back at the manor, now bustling with life and purpose. The future was full of possibilities, and they felt ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing they had made a meaningful contribution to the legacy of Lady Helena and the community. And so, with a shared sense of accomplishment and hope, they turned towards the next chapter in their lives, carrying forward the lessons learned and the bonds forged in their quest for truth and justice. If you're eager to explore more mysteries and adventures beyond our own world, click on the video appearing on your screen now. Dive into another thrilling sci-fi story from our Sci-Fi Story Vault and continue your voyage into the unknown. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales from the cosmos. The universe is vast, and its stories are waiting for you.